You are listening to the Keep the Weight Off podcast with Dr. Angela, episode number 41.
Welcome to the Keep the Weight Off podcast, where we bust all the dieting myths and discover not just how to lose weight, but more importantly, how to keep it off. We go way beyond the food, and we use science and psychology to give you strategies that work. And now your host, Dr. Angela Zechmann.
So welcome back, everybody. And hey there, Marchelle. How are you?
I'm good. Hi, everybody.
Yay. Well, before I even get started with today, I want to ask each of you who are listening and gaining value from these podcasts, if you would please just take a moment and go to iTunes and rate and review this podcast for us. Marchelle and I would just be so grateful if you could do that, because your ratings and reviews really help to get the word out to other people who are looking for this valuable information. So podcasts with lots of good ratings and reviews get ranked higher in the algorithms, and that makes them much easier to find. And, I believe that we have a very different approach and, a much more scientifically accurate way of approaching weight loss than the standard programs out there. And we're on a mission, right, Marchelle? We're on a mission.
We are on a mission.
To really educate and help people get this disease under control. Because let's face it, almost everyone in this country is struggling. And we're here in the States, but so many other people around the world are struggling too. And there's an answer. And there's a lot of hope for conquering this disease. And so we want to stand here as beacons of hope that you can get this disease under control once and for all. So please help us get the word out, and we will be really, really grateful.
Yeah. And I just wanted to add, the power of social media is really super important. And it's a critical element in change making.
Yeah.
So if you guys can get the word out, this is something that we really, really believe in.
Yeah.
We would really appreciate it.
What you could do also is take a screenshot of the podcast episode and put it on your own social media page, like put it on your Facebook page or on your Instagram. That would also help get the word out. So that would be great.
Yes, please share.
Yeah. All right. So what I wanted to talk about today is a topic that Marchelle brought up the other day. And we noticed that this happens a lot as people are losing weight. And that is sometimes people make comments about our weight loss. And sometimes those comments don't necessarily feel so good. So, Marchelle, what kinds of things have people told you that other people have said about their weight loss? Or what kinds of things have you heard that you weren't, you were like, I'm not sure about that?
So this does come up a lot with patients. And I guess, when they tell me about it, I can relate.
Yeah.
Until I had a really personal experience with it.
Yeah.
And that's probably why I talked to you about it.
Yeah.
So I think so what happened with me is, from the time that I started working with you, I was at a certain weight, and I think, our patients that have been with us for a while, they've seen, my weight loss. And I got to a weight that I was really comfortable. At least I thought I was really comfortable with. And because I really didn't ever have a goal weight, I just wanted to feel good in my clothes. I wanted to look better. I wanted to, feel better. And so, when I got to this certain weight, a lot of patients started commenting to me oh, you've lost so much weight, or you look so thin, or wow, you're going to wither away to nothing if you keep losing more weight. And it started to kind of do something to my mind that made me start to have a lot of negative self-talk. Do I look sick, or have I lost too much weight, or is there something wrong with me? Do I not look okay? And so right when that happened, I thought, okay, if I hurry up and gained 5 pounds really quick, then maybe that'll be the place, where people aren't commenting. Even if people were trying to be positive or trying to give me a compliment, just the fact that I'm not used to people commenting on my weight, that, or I'm, because I was overweight for a long time and people probably didn't comment to be polite. But when people started noticing me, it started to make me feel really self-conscious. And so I didn't know what this place was that I wanted to be, where people weren't making comments at all. And I could just exist, So what ended up happening to me was I gave myself permission to eat whatever I wanted, because I thought, okay, if I gain like 5 pounds, then maybe people won't notice, that I've lost too much weight or whatever they were thinking. And once I gave myself permission to eat whatever I wanted, that started this whole downward spiral of sugar eating and not having any control over my food choices. Because if you give yourself a week of eating carbs and sugar and whatever you want, when you're me and you have my brain, I was like right back to square one. And I had a really, really hard time stopping myself from eating fast food and stopping at the store for snacks and eating candy again. I mean, I just went like right back into it and had a really, really hard time. And I couldn't figure, I was like, why did I do that? Like, what's going on with me? Well, I remembered how it started, because at the time, I didn't really realize that that's why that it happened, is the comments that were being made, until I thought about it later. And I was like, that's what happened, is people started commenting on how thin I looked, or that I'd lost so much weight, and it just had a really negative impact on me. And I've also had several patients come and talk to me about the same thing, that people's comments, even when you're trying to be nice, like, wow, you've lost so much weight. You look amazing. Or, you look great today. I think sometimes when we're self-conscious, we can turn that around and think, why do it? Did I not look good before?
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, I know that even if people's intentions are good, I think that sometimes it could have and unless you're in a better, state of mind, because at that time I didn't have some of the tools that I have now, because, it's all a learning experience.
Yeah.
And I was just trying to feel good in my own skin. And so, and I was doing really well, but I wasn't working on maybe some of the emotional parts of my weight loss. And I was vulnerable at that point. So I think that that's why this is a really good topic to talk about, because I think that a lot of people are affected by this, but we just don't talk about it very much.
Right. Yeah. So I actually asked people in Sugar and Flour Busters Society. Now, if you're not in Sugar and Flour Busters Society, that's our free Facebook group. So get in there. Make sure that you join us in Sugar and Flour Buster Societies. But I just put a question in there and I said, have you ever experienced somebody commenting about your weight, and did it ever sort of make you feel uncomfortable? And a lot of people chimed in. There were a lot of interesting comments. There was one woman who said, my journey took a couple of years, and she had the thought, when somebody commented on how good she looked or whatever the comment was, she said, oh, so now I'm worth your attention. Now that I'm thin, I'm worth your attention. Before that, she felt like, oh, maybe, people just didn't care all that much. Another woman said that she did appreciate the positive comments, but she didn't like the inquisitive comments, like, how much weight have you lost? How did you do it? And all of that.
Right.
Yeah. And then another woman said, like, she felt like she was on display almost, like her friends were watching her really, really carefully. And that made her pretty nervous. And that would make me nervous too if I felt like I was on display, now that I think about it, know?
I've heard patients say that well, my friends said that they will come join this program after they see if I'm successful, or if it works for me, then my family will come. And so they feel like super pressured and on display. And I just wanted to add that we have a patient, her name is Anne. I'm just going to say her first name.
Mhm.
She is the one that inspired this topic for me to ask you about it. So I just wanted to give a shout out to her. I'm glad that we're talking about this, and this one is for
Yeah.
you.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, it's another woman in the Sugar and Flour Buster Society. She said, no one's going to tell you that you're gaining weight, but they definitely mention it after you lose it, and that felt uncomfortable to her. So
yeah, I totally understand that feeling.
yeah, and then we actually had another woman who said exactly what you just said, Marchelle. She said that when her friends told her she was too thin, she would end up sabotaging herself. So I think that is a really common experience. Somebody starts saying, "Oh, you're getting so thin." Then you're like, "Oh, what am I, maybe this isn't right. Maybe I'm doing it wrong. Maybe I've overdone it." I know a lot of people have talked to me about their concern about getting too thin, about getting sort of in the anorexic zone.
Yeah,
And I
that's
always,
and that's
yeah.
I didn't know, like, like, where do you stop, or like what's
Mm-hmm.
enough? Because when you're
Yeah.
like in this mindset, and I have to say, it is diet mentality, and I was still
Mm-hmm.
there in that moment
Yeah.
of wanting to hurry up and get to this certain place where I felt like I was skinny, and I was not paying attention to a lot of the things that were going on inside of me emotionally. And
Yeah.
so other people's comments, I took very personally.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm really, really glad that you brought this up, because I have so much to say on this. Well, I have a lot to say about a lot of things, but this one I really do have a lot to say. So, so how do we feel about what other people say about us, and why does it matter? So that's the question. So the first thing that I want to remind everybody listening to this podcast is obesity is a disease. Now, I always capitalize the word obesity when I write it, because I want us to understand that this is a disease. It's not a character flaw. Almost everyone in the Western world eating the global industrialized diets, we call it the standard American diet here in America, but we have exported it overseas. So now it is the global industrialized diet of processed, factory-made food. Almost everyone who eats it develops this disease, or drinks sodas or energy drinks, or, basically it's toxic food. And so we end up getting this disease. This disease was not all that prevalent 50 or 100 years ago. It's come about because our modern food supply is toxic. And when we eat this toxic stuff, and what we don't know about it is that it's highly addictive, and it causes derangement in our brain's appetite regulation system. I've talked about this before. And so when you're working at getting this disease under control, it takes a lot of work. It's not just work that it takes on your food, but it takes work on your thoughts about who you are and how you live your life. Okay? So that's sort of a basis understanding of what I want everybody to be thinking about as they're wondering about these questions about what do I do when other people say things. Okay? Now, what I want you to understand is that there is not one other person in the world that can possibly know your personal experience with this disease. No one else knows what you experienced growing up. Even your own siblings had a different experience growing up in your family than you did. You can have identical twins, and we do have identical twins in our practice, and their experience is very, very different. So no other person can understand how susceptible you might be to the drug-like effects of these foods. No one else can possibly know what your ideal weight is once you start feeding your body whole, natural foods with the right amount of protein, the right amount of healthy fats. The truth of the matter is that almost no one knows what a healthy, vibrant body looks like anymore, because so many of us are struggling with this disease. So what we've become accustomed to seeing people at a certain size And that's what feels normal to us. But I want to ask the question, is it normal when almost everyone is struggling with high blood pressure? And when people in their 30s have serious arthritis and sleep apnea? And when 25% of all high school students have prediabetes? What we think of as normal is far from normal. So I just want to presence that. No one really knows what a healthy body looks like anymore. So does that make sense, Marchelle?
That definitely makes sense, because I was just thinking, like, I believe that I've always just thought that the skinnier, the better.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So here's another thing to think about. And that is that when people make comments about you, the listener, they are making these comments based on their own perceptions, which is based on their experience and their thoughts and their emotions. It really does not have anything to do with you. So let's say your mother tells you that she thinks you're getting too skinny and she's worried. Just know that she's basing her opinion on her own beliefs about herself, which may or may not be accurate for you. It's as if she's saying, your hair is green. Now, unless you've actually gone and colored your hair green or spent a bunch of time in a chlorinated pool, you know your hair is not green. So it's like that statement is completely inaccurate because you know yourself well and you have a solid foundation of self-love and self-respect. And so that really is the key, to have this solid foundation of self-love and self-respect. And most people who struggled with the disease of obesity don't have that solid foundation because they've been questioning themselves all their life. Why do I struggle like this? Why can't I get this under control? And they've been trying so hard. And so most people don't have that solid foundation. And so that's what we're working on really, really hard, very specifically in our membership. We're really helping our members to develop a strong sense of themselves as lovable, worthy beings, born with the right to love and be loved for exactly who they are as imperfect but evolving human beings.
Right.
So
I mean, and there is like I just wanted, sorry, I'm
no worries.
because I was just starting to think, that there's this psychology behind weight loss that we don't talk about a lot. It's just basically, eat this or don't eat that.
Yeah.
But we're complex beings. And we need compassionate support on deeper levels. We need to deal with our feelings and our thoughts and our beliefs when it comes to being able to release weight. And that is what I love about Journey Beyond Weight Loss. And I've learned so much about, the changing of your identity is so important than just, exercise more, eat less, because there's so much more to it. I mean, it is so mental.
Yeah.
And that is why if you work on yourself and you start to change on the inside, then those comments that people make, they won't affect you like they might have before. Because now I have learned a whole lot about what goes on the inside of in my mind. And so I'm not, now I'm going in with a different attitude, but it's a learning experience. I mean, it took me a while to understand this.
Yeah. Well, think about it. If you're sitting in a place of strong and secure love for yourself, the comments of other people are like water rolling off a duck's back. They just don't faze you because you know that you're doing exactly what's right to get this disease under control for yourself. So you're nourishing your body properly, and you can expect that your body is going to release unneeded weight when you do that. And I shouldn't say weight, I should say unneeded fat when you do that. Okay, because we're not about weight loss, we're about fat loss. So you can be patient with yourself as you're on this journey. You're constantly discovering new things about yourself, and you're treating yourself with love and compassion as you make all of these new discoveries. And so someone else might mention, wow, you've changed. What's different? They might not even notice that you've lost weight. They may just notice that you seem more vibrant. and healthy, and you've got a different energy about you. And you can say, I'm just learning how to take care of myself better and how to feed my body differently and how to nourish myself properly. And I'm feeling a lot better. It's not easy, but thank you for noticing. If people say that they think you're getting too skinny, you can say, well, I appreciate your concern, but trust me, I'm feeding my body with plenty of nourishing food and I feel great. As time goes on and they see these consistent changes in you, they might get more curious. You'll be an inspiration. They can see what you've accomplished and they decide, hey, I want that too. And so when they ask, you can tell them what you've done and how you've done it. The truth is, everyone wants to feel good. We all want to feel energetic. We all want to feel vibrant. We all want to be able to move again. So stand as a powerful example to others of what's possible when you finally stop all the crazy diets and take this disease seriously. Stand there as an example of someone who's changing from the inside out, meaning that the transformation of the body reflects much more than a change in what you're eating. It reflects a change in your very thoughts about who you are and who you want to be in this world. Right?
Definitely. I think that I spent so many years finding validation in what other people thought about me or what, the standard perfect look would be for a woman, the perfect size, or what kind of clothes to wear. And I also used to believe, that depending on how you looked would determine on how people treated you. And so when I was overweight and I was feeling really bad about myself, I just saw the world as really being against me. And I was against the world. And every day I would wake up unhappy and I would, and my clothes wouldn't fit right. And I would just kind of want to disappear, into the world. And I wouldn't want to, didn't want to stand out. And I'm still working on that too, because I still do find validation in what other people think. I mean, there's mornings when I wake up and I'm just feeling off and I'm just not feeling like I'm that pretty that day. And I have a hard time kind of overcoming that and going about my day and, with a
That's so
attitude.
hard to believe. Because you're so beautiful. Oh my gosh.
Oh
wow.
my gosh. Wow. Okay. Well, thank you. Because
that's really hard to believe that you would ever wake up and go, oh my gosh, I'm not very pretty today.
Real. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Thank you for that. But no,
sure.
I mean, and it would seriously, or even like I said, having somebody make one comment that they may not even mean to be judgmental. If like me, if I'm insecure about myself, it will ruin my whole day. I'll dwell on it all day long.
Yeah.
But I mean, like I said, I've been doing a lot of work on that, and it's still hard for me to overcome that because I still believe that, I guess that I'm having a hard time, getting older and accepting, changes that happen as you get older.
Yes.
But also, like, I had a hard time kind of accepting the changes that my body was making as I was losing weight as well. Because I guess I got so used to being like in this unhealthy body that once I started losing weight and even though I felt good, I still was like really worried about what people thought about me. And that's just something I'm trying to work on is like just doing what I need to do to be healthy. And I think I'm more vulnerable if I've slipped or I've gotten off track because I feel like the rest of the world knows.
No.
And so it just makes so then when people make comments, if I know I'm not really doing what I know I'm supposed to be doing, then, I'm just more susceptible to listening to that. But I don't know. It's, I'm a work in progress and, and even recently I've had some weight gain, after going on vacation. I have a really hard time with vacations and, I've had to do some work to get, back on track and that's not just like outside work, not just figuring out what I need to eat. It's just seriously like what happens when I let myself get out of control. It's like this feeling of total freedom And
Mhm.
I like to feel free and do what I want to
Mhm.
do. It's sort of like
Yeah.
my rebellious nature. And
Yeah.
so it's for me to like reel it in and get control back of, what I'm doing with my life. That's a
Yeah.
little bit hard for me.
Yeah.
So, so I guess I just wanted to share that because I know I've been talking about it a lot with patients.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they've been talking a lot with me about this. But
Yeah.
I know I'm working on it, and
Mhm.
I'm glad that we're talking about this. And I just think that be careful with your comments
Mm. Yeah.
because you don't really know how it's going to affect somebody.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, but I also feel like if we can just remember that, if you're feeding your body nourishing food, good protein, healthy fats, lots of vegetables, like your body's going to change. And so let people make their comments, let them make their comments and just know that you're doing everything that's right for you. And that's what matters. Like, and again, I can't emphasize enough. No one knows what a healthy, vibrant body looks like anymore. None of
Yeah,
us know.
I agree with that. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't.
Like your grandma comes up to you and tells you you're getting too skinny. It's just like, grandma, look around, like everybody is struggling with their weight and everybody has this disease because we're all eating, the processed standard American diet. And so people just don't know what a healthy, vibrant body does look like. So again, remember also that people are making comments based on their own perspective and their own judgments. And so anytime that somebody's making comments about you, it's really reflecting only what's going on in their head. And it really doesn't have any bearing on you. And just remember, most people have this disease called obesity. In order to manage it and manage it well, you have to have a solid foundation of self-love. You want to know yourself really deeply. And you want to know that you're a worthy human being on a path of growth and evolution. You make mistakes as all humans do. Everybody makes mistakes. And we talked about having a different relationship with failure a few episodes back. So it's not a big deal if you make a mistake, unless you decide to make it a big deal, which I encourage you not to do. But when you make mistakes, you know that you're always going to be there for yourself. And the comments of other people just roll off your back because you know that you're doing what's right for you. And again, we work on all of this in detail in the Journey Beyond Weight Loss membership. So I hope that if you're not already a member, that you'll consider joining us there because we do a lot of awesome stuff there. Okay.
Yeah, I agree. I think we all need to do Journey Beyond Weight Loss a few times. Because I'm just starting to think that there's a couple of things I need to work on.
Yeah.
That I'm struggling with.
Well, it's like this upward spiral. Like you gain so much clarity about yourself when you go through it. And then, you tackle another subject again and you gain even more clarity and you just get better and better and more evolved. It's just a really awesome process to go through. So
yeah, I just need to figure out why weight gain or weight loss affects my outlook on life so much.
Yeah.
I mean, and it really does. It's definitely a work in progress.
Yeah. Okay, everybody. Thank you for joining us this time. And we will see you next week with another great topic. And if you guys have anything that you want us to talk about, feel free to leave a comment in the, let's see, where could they leave comments? You could leave comments on the podcast notes. So just go to journeybeyondweightloss.com/podcasts. Just go to the link to this podcast and leave a comment there if you want to. Or you could just email me at drangela@journeybeyondweightloss.com. That would work too. So awesome, everybody. Take care and have a great week.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Hey, if you really want to lose weight and keep it off for good, your next step is to sign up for Dr. Angela's free weight loss course, where you're going to learn everything you need to get started on your weight loss journey the right way. Just head over to journeybeyondweightloss.com/free course to sign up. Also, it would be awesome if you could take a few moments and write a review on iTunes. Thanks, and we'll see you in Journey Beyond Weight Loss.